Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen R. Covey. Once again, my gratitude to all of you for joining me today for this Facebook Live session. For those who are joining us for the first time, you can see all the previous episode. It's a 9 episode series, and we are on episode 7 today. But even then, if you're joining us for the first time, you can see all the previous episodes in the video section of my page. And we would also be doing a quick review at the beginning of today's episode. So starting with a quick background on me, my name is Rashi Sinha and I'm a business consultant, coach and trainer. I started my corporate journey about 20 years ago and over the years have worked with multiple organizations where revenue generation was a key highlight of my KRA. I have deep experience in launching new business verticals and products. I am not a certified or trained trainer, but a trainer through experience. My corporate roles and the nature of my work made coaching and training an extension of my profile, and I soon realized that I'm a natural at being a coach and a trainer. As a business consultant and trainer, I work towards building growth for my clients and work with multiple mid-sized businesses and startups to help them define and structure new revenue generating streams or help them tweak their current business working to create fast-paced growth. To know more, you can head to my LinkedIn profile. Now, here is the structure of the series. The series, like I mentioned before, is spread over 9 episodes, and this is how the episodes look. We started with the introduction and then we divided the habits into 1 episode each, and we would be starting with habit number 6 today. Also, by end of each episode, there is a take action point or a task to do which needs to be worked on before the next episode. I'd highly recommend that you sit with a pen and notebook to take notes and to maintain a journal. For those of you who have been regular with this series, hope you did the task of last week, which was practicing empathic communication and seek to understand what people are saying by listening to hear and not listen to respond. So here is a quick recap of what we have covered in the previous episodes. This diagram is the seed to understanding how habits pan out and create an impact. We humans by nature are interdependent. The 7 habits makes us truly interdependent. It is a journey from recognizing the dependency traits we have built over the years through conditioning, then moving to becoming independent by working on ourselves. And now we are on a journey of understanding how to be truly interdependent. Now, if we talk about specific habits, today we are doing habit number 6. So we have covered 5 habits before today. Habit 1 began with creating principles of personal vision. While working on these habits, we need to understand that at times we may have to separate ourselves look at ourselves from a third person angle and see a lot of things. Of course, it can be a bit difficult for some, but when you go through my previous episodes, you will be able to find the thread to do that better. In habit 2, we understand the principles of personal leadership and understand the importance of leadership and management and the difference between them. Like it is said that have a leadership is what are the things I wish to accomplish, and management is how can I best accomplish those things? So basically saying that till we do not define what we want to achieve or where we want to go, management is of no use. So these are the first three habits and they are in italics. So these three habits are of our journey within ourselves, inside of us. Then the rest of the two habits that we are talking about are when we move into our interpersonal relationship. That is why you can see that the names are mentioned thus. So with habit 4, we learned the habit of think win-win. This was the beginning of public victory. This is interpersonal leadership. And habit 5, we explored the act of seeking to understand first, then to be understood, which is exercising empathic communication. I am going to revisit few terms which we will be using during the course of today's episode, and they have been introduced to us in past. These words are paradigm and paradigm shift. Paradigm is all about how we view something. What we view may not be incorrect, but that doesn't mean it is the complete view. A different person can have a different paradigm to a similar object or point of concentration. So we both could be looking at the same thing, but have a different paradigm, and both of us can be right. And that is where paradigm shift comes into play, where we understand how you know, to have a holistic view of something and not just consider what we are seeing as the whole view. We also spoke about principles, principles being the core of being human itself. The principles don't change. Things like integrity, honesty, transparency, trust, these remain constant no matter what. We also discussed something called circle of influence and circle of concern. These are circles where circle of influence is where we have control on the outcome, and we can influence it by our action. And circle of concern is a larger circle outside the circle of influence, which may have an impact on our life. However, we do not have any control in the activities in circle of concern, and hence it is always said that we should work in a circle of influence and try and expand it to the maximum. We also learned something called making deposits in the emotional bank account, which is basically saying that until unless you have made a deposit, an emotional deposit with another person in a interpersonal relationship like you do in a bank account, you cannot withdraw. And when you do withdraw from, say, a bank account in a bank, then the check would bounce if you do not have enough deposits. And in an emotional bank account, when you take more out than you have deposited, then it depletes trust. And yesterday, I mean, the last Sunday, we learned about empathic communication, which is all about making an effort to understand what is being said instead of just listening to respond. So before we move ahead, here is another bit of share for all of us. I have created a group within Facebook for all those who are interested in creating a lasting impact in their life through these habits. So I'm sharing the link to join this group in the chat over here under this particular live telecast. 1 second, I'll just do that. Yeah, here we go. 1 second, this is not the link. I'm just sharing the link. Here you go. Sometimes copying takes time when you're trying to do it in a hurry. So here is the link I've posted. Please join the group. So yes, So it would be great if you have any questions, you can ask me there, you can clear your doubts. We can continue to discuss the details of the 7 habits, and I will be happy to be of use to you in that particular area of work if you're looking to do better with the 7 habits. Now, coming to the next part of today's episode. So these are the 7 habits which are structured in the book. And I am a big fan of the way this book pans out, where each habit is a seat or a stepping stone to move ahead to the next habit. And in today's episode, we will talk about habit number 6, which is synergy. This habit, when I read I found it very easy to understand. However, when I got around to creating this episode, to explain it to you, I realized that it isn't very easy to explain. So it is possible that you may find me falling short a bit today, but that's just me. Sometimes, what happens is the simplest of things are very difficult to explain. More so because sometimes we come with preconceived notions and conditioning. So now that I have added the disclaimer and somehow redeemed myself, let's move ahead. So the key word in the topic is habit. The author in the book defines habit as it is the intersection of knowledge, skills, and desires. Like you can see it in the image, habits is right at the center where all these 3 things meet. With the right habit, we learned to be productive and effective, and the right effectiveness is achieved by the support of those around us. So let's get started with habit 6 and the things we can do better to make most of this habit. Now, the chapter on this habit begins with the heading Principles of Creative Cooperation. Both the earlier uh, habits under public victory, that is, think win win, and empathic communication, along with the crux of private victory, which is the basic human endowment, they all come together to create this habit and its impact. You would understand that about it in a few minutes. And I would like to share here that today probably I would be using a bit less of these slides and share more stories or examples so that things are better understood, because there are no such concepts or steps that one can take to get to this habit better. It's only through practice it comes around. But first let's understand the definition of synergy. The word essentially means that the whole is greater than sum of the parts. It means the relationship which the parts have with each other is part in and of itself. Let's look what the internet has to say about synergy. I know. So this is the, what do I say, a technical definition or somewhere the seat of understanding this habit from the point of view of this book. But then I thought there would be certain other things which can make this easier. So I, typed synergy on the internet, and this is what it shows. And as they say, images talk more than words. And as per the dictionary, the definition of synergy is the combined power of a group of things when they are working together that is greater than the total power achieved by working separately. Essentially, the act of working together can be called synergy. Interesting, isn't it? So let's dive deeper. Look at nature, for example. So here are some images. Nature is synergetic and works in perfect harmony. In fact, some of you who do a bit of gardening would know that if two plants are somehow planted close together, they tend to support each other. Their roots tend to get tangled up and intertwined with each other. They tend to grow together and feed both the plants, and somehow the plants turn out healthier. In fact, we have all heard the story of the old farmer and his four sons, where he asks the sons to bring a stick and break them, which is done very easily. Then the farmer asks the sons to tie all the sticks together and then attempt to break it, and they find it difficult to break it, right? That is the impact synergy brings. Somehow, over the years, we all have been trained to fend for ourselves, to be defensive, protective of our resources. Hence, we all hardly get the chance to experience synergy and its great impact in our lives in these modern times. In fact, I'm sure we all have been to school and college, studied there, and some of you may have also taught a class. So let's talk about the more general group. We all have been a student once. So let's go back to our student life. Think of your best class or the best teacher, the teacher you were quite taken in by. That teacher, if you would realize, was somebody who would like to take the entire class together. She would like to take everybody together with her, ensure that everybody is understanding what she's saying, and even if they didn't, she would attempt to her best abilities to explain it in a manner, and you are always left with a feel good factor. So that feel good is an example of synergy, because that teacher of yours who you have still not forgotten and have great memories of is the teacher knowingly or unknowingly was working on synergy of both the teacher's strength and the class strength. Every student is an individual, so that teacher managed to bring the students as one unit and combined the forces to create something better. And that feeling you felt of looking forward to the class, or feeling good about what she was teaching or he was teaching, that, my friend, is synergy. Now compare it with the teacher who you disliked completely, or we can say a bad teacher who would come to the class. You would never want to attend the class. You would like to hookwind whatever he or she was trying to teach. That is exact opposite of what happens when synergy is missing. So we can apply the process of creative cooperation in all walks of our life. And as mentioned earlier, I'll share few sets of different examples that will hopefully make you think like it made me. So first, I will come with an example, a work example, and this is a personal example to me. While I was reading this book and understanding the concepts better, or in fact, when I was, making notes to figure out the best way to explain synergy during the episode today, I got reminded of this particular incident in my life from my career. So I was working with this organization. My one colleague was based in another city. I was here in Delhi NCR, and the head office was also in the other city where my boss was also stationed. Now, I was working in the area of business development and revenue generation at that time. And at times what happens is, in this kind of a setup, you tend to get into a competitive frame of mind. So our boss got us together He called me over to the head office. He used to sit there, made me and my colleagues sit together, discuss a few things in general, and then said, look, I understand your strengths very well, and you both have different set of strengths. You have two choices. You want to get into a game of establishing one-upmanship? Well, that is your choice. However, I would suggest that if we all try and work together as one team, we will achieve more both individually and for the group also. That made both of us think, and we were ready to listen to what else our boss had in mind. So he went on to explain. He didn't use the word synergy, but he went on to explain how both of us could join forces, our strengths together, and ensure a much easier work environment, both in terms of converting business and everyday working. We both agreed. So there were a lot of set of clients where he had to make an effort because the influencer of certain companies were based in his city, whereas the decision maker was based in my city. So he would go to the influencer, ensure that a correct pitch about our business and product is done, whereas I would do the other part of it by ensuring that the decision maker has heard about us and is favorable towards us. And then because of the influencer and decision maker both being on same page, courtesy, both of us working in tandem with each other, the business would come to us. And of course, if just because the decision maker was based here, somehow the purchase order would come in my name and the credit would go to me. That did not mean that my colleague was left high and dry. There were times when the reverse happened, and we both were equally committed to work at it. We were not sitting and comparing notes that he has worked for me on five such cases and I have done for him on only two. We were just committed to work for the overall growth, and we figured a separate path which was working for all of us. And that was something beautiful created between us. We were one team. And till date, my boss is much senior to me, somebody with 30, 35 years in the industry. And till date, whenever he calls, and yes, I'm in touch with him over the years, this was about 14 years back, and he still day says that we are the best team he has ever worked with. Now, isn't that like a chip on your shoulder? Feels great. So let's talk about synergy in family life. Let's take an example of a couple, a man, a woman. Yes, there are differences in the way a man is made and in the way a woman is, both physically and mentally. The easiest thing we have learned from our environment is to find the differences and try and create an upper edge over the other gender or make jokes about one another. What we forget to do is actively work on those very differences and create a greater set of achievement, and that differences when worked on together is the launchpad for it. How? Okay, so we all know how procreation happens. It takes both a man and a woman to have a child, bring in a new life to this world. Imagine the power of synergy when done right together as one team has the potential to create a new life. A new life is born when this synergy of differences is worked on together. Now, instead, if the husband and wife started concentrating on the different physical attributes they have and try to build one-upmanship, will they be ever be able to create another life? Of course not. Synergy is nature. It is natural to all of us. Once we are able to understand this, that how basic and core synergy is to our being, magic will happen. Synergy is exciting, very exciting. It's creatively fulfilling, and it's phenomenal of what it can produce. There are, of course, few roadblocks, and we need to understand them in order to overcome them. With our conditioning, we in our day-to-day life have forgotten how to synergize, and even if we want to, maybe the other person doesn't know how to. Communication can bridge this. And effective communication has two ingredients: cooperation and trust. And the scale of these two decide the level of communication and synergy. And this is where I go back to my slides. Now I have something to show you. This image illustrates what I'm talking about very well. To have synergetic communication, you need cooperation and trust. As you can see, higher the trust and cooperation, better is the communication leading to synergy. When we are low on trust and low on cooperation, we get into a defensive mode of operating. And that is when we work in the quadrant of either win lose or lose win, and worse, lose lose. Because if two people who have the mentality of win lose come together with low trust and cooperation, all we get at the end of it is lose lose. So that is what happens. Then when cooperation and trust go up a bit higher, that is middle level of mediocrity. You're respectful, yet you work on compromise. There are many who work in this setup. In fact, if you go around looking at your environment and people around you, you would see majority of the people work in this area, which is the middle level, and it only leads to mediocre results. Hence, it's only with complete and deep trust and cooperation we move to the level of synergy. It is about building something better together. It's like having a third alternative. Now, you may ask, what does that mean? So, let me explain the third alternative with an example. Again, since last we were talking about the scenario of a husband and wife, let's continue with that kind of an example. So there was this husband and wife. They had two children. They were planning a vacation for a very long time, for 6 to 8 months, and then now it was time. They were excited. They had planned a lot of stuff. They were going by the waterside to a beach. They were going to even have some other water bodies where they could go for fishing. As they say, you can go for snorkeling in the sea. So all those kind of things were involved. So the equipments were bought, and there was excitement in the air till few days before the date of the vacation. News came in that the wife's mother wasn't keeping too well. She wasn't threateningly ill. However, she was not too well, and the wife's sister was taking care of the mother. However, this disturbed the wife. She wanted to go visit her mother, and which would have meant that they would not be able to go on the vacations. There were a lot of discussions which happened between the couple, to and fro's, some discussions, some arguments, because the vacation was very important too. After all, husband said that your mother is not too ill, but the wife has said, what if she gets too ill? I want to see her. It's emotions. Because of all these differences, the children could feel the stress, and they were also feeling a bit confused, not so happy. There was the vacation spirit was somewhere getting dampened. Now they were trying to see how they can work about. Interestingly, both husband and wife were deeply in love, and they really cared for each other. So at one end, the wife was also, one end she was feeling that she needs to go see her mother. At the same time, she was feeling guilty of spoiling the party for her husband and the kids, whereas the husband was feeling a bit irritated that the entire vacation was planned for so long, and he was not liking the way things were panning out. But at the same time, he was also concerned about his wife and the mother-in-law, and also with the possibilities that what if tomorrow she did become too ill, or something happens to her and the wife is unable to meet her mother, then he will not be able to get off that guilt for rest of his life. Now, there were three scenarios during the discussions they came up with. Now, what were these? Uh, so they both disagreed. Um, so the first option was that the husband and wife decide to split up. He would take the kids to the vacation while she would get to visit her mother, and they both will feel guilty and unhappy about it. Even the children would sense, and that would affect their enjoyment of the vacation. And the second alternative was that the husband may give in to his wife, but he does so grudgingly. And consciously or unconsciously, he produces evidence to fulfill, his desire, and he continues to show how miserable he is and make everybody else miserable. That can happen. Another option could be the wife may give in to her husband, but then she's withdrawn and oversensitive and reactive during the entire duration of the vacation, because her mind is with her mother and her health situation. What ifs are in the air, and overall, the entire vacation mood is spoiled. So, any of these compromises they work on will make somebody unhappy. However, this couple over the years had realized that with constant communication working together, they can always find another alternative, and that is what we call the third alternative. So, as they communicated more and more, the husband deeply felt the wife's desire and need to be with her mother. He understood how she wanted to relieve her sister, who was currently taking care of the mother, who had the primary responsibility for the mother's care. He understood that they really don't know how long she is going to be with them. And of course, she's more important than a vacation and fishing or things like that. So they talk more and they decide that vacation is on head in a day's time. So, and the mother is not that ill. So, what they could do is go ahead for the vacation. And at the end of the vacation during the weekend, the husband would head back home with the kids, take care of the kids of over the next 4 days, whereas the wife gets to visit his mother, be by her side, spend some time, and not take the children over there, because then her attention would be divided between the children, husband, and the mother. So the best would be that wife goes by herself to her ailing mother and take care of her by her side. So that is what third alternative is. They had their vacation. The wife knew that currently the mother is not that ill, and she would be going to see, would go ahead and see her mother in coming few days. So she was excited. They enjoyed the vacation and went on to see her mother also. So seeking the third alternative involves deep paradigm shift. And when that doesn't happen, we get into something called negative synergy. Now, this is an area which is exercised by dependent people. So now if we go back to the structure of seven habits, right at the beginning, we said that we are at the level of dependency and we need to first work with the three habits to come to the independent level, to work with the next three habits and then move ahead into the interdependent space. So now you will understand the sequence a bit better. So what happens when a dependent person tries to work in an interdependable environment and works on a synergy, and negative synergy is created? How? First, let's understand who are dependent people. Dependent people are those individuals who are high on insecurities. They're not sure of themselves, though they show that they know everything, that they're very sure of themselves. They tend to copy things successful people do, dress up like them, read the books they read, learn the habits of those people, try and copy their lifestyle instead of recognizing their own strengths and working on it. See, we all are blessed to have our own goods. It is upon us to recognize these goods and work on them to make them better and ensure that that is what we add to the table when we deal in an interpersonal environment. However, if you are a dependent person, this becomes difficult. Then what one tends to do is look up to successful people and not just look up to them, copy them. I personally, because we all tend to develop our own terms, I call such people mentally lazy. They may seem, at it, doing it. However, it is all superficial, and it gets worse when dependent people try to work in an interdependent environment. They always expect things to work from their point of view. They want to have things as per their paradigm, and they do little to expand their horizon or their paradigm. In fact, they try to blend in by cloning who they look up to, or they create a kind of oneness, or overview of creating oneness. uh, let's understand this, why this is a problem. Because synergy is not about being same, it is about celebrating the differences and let the pieces fit together. A dependent person is not able to fully understand this. That is why they try to fit in instead of celebrating their differences and working towards creating a better environment. A lot of people, when I share that celebrate your differences, take it too inside, and they say, oh, I am so different and I am this, I'm going to be like this. If I work with you, then it's creating oneness, and that is where they mess it up. A independent person would actually understand what being different means. It means what we learned in the earlier two habits. Think win-win. With your differences, keep the strength of the other person in mind, then seek to understand them first before being understood. And when you are able to work with the attitude of win-win, understand where the other person is coming from, ensure that they also understand you, is when you are working in the direction of synergy. So, like I said, synergy is about celebrating the differences and letting the pieces fit together. We all have seen a jigsaw puzzle, right? No two pieces in the jigsaw puzzle are same. However, when they all come together, they find their own place, and the end result is a beautiful image or a great combination which is created by those small pieces. That, my friend, is synergy. So let's talk about an exercise that we could do. um, Make a list of people who irritate you. Try and understand what about them make you feel the way you do. And next time when you have a disagreement with them, see how you can work not at your alternative, not at their alternative, but at a better third alternative. And believe me, in all situations, a third alternative always does exist. It's upon us to find it, right? Understand another thing which is very important is you may not be able to control other person's paradigm. However, it is in your circle of influence to work on the synergic process and work towards third alternative. And I will reshare an image which I shared the last time, which is this: listen, understand, be empathetic, be cooperative, become caring, positive, be a problem solver, find solutions. First, understand, then ensure that you are understood. So, the person who is truly effective has the humility and reverence to recognize his own perpetual limitations and to appreciate the rich resources available through interactions with the hearts and mind of other human beings. The person values differences because those differences add to his knowledge, to his understanding of reality. When we are left to our own experience, we constantly suffer from shortage of data. Now, let's go back to a situation where you are brainstorming ideas. What happens over there? When you're sitting by yourself and thinking, there are a lot of things come to your mind. However, there is a limitation of your own brain. Add just one person to that discussion, you would see suddenly the number of ideas, the way things can be worked at, change. Suddenly there are new ideas, new point of views, there's something better that is being created. Now that is the beginning of synergy. So if we are constantly working towards it, we can start small. We don't have to try and look at building synergy with anybody and everybody right from day one, right from today itself. No, probably not. That may not happen. However, you can attempt to do what I have been doing. And I'll share with you in a minute what I mean by that. Before that, you have any doubt, you have any questions, you want to discuss something, feel free to write to me. You now also have the details of the Facebook group which I've created. Please join the group. We can have quite interesting conversations over there, or you could write to me at these email IDs. Now, what I meant when I was saying about what if the other person is not at the level where you are? You could be moving in the direction of synergy. However, you're dealing with a person who is in the zone of being dependent. I thought about it too. So let's work at one person at a time. The easiest person, like I gave the exercise, figure out the people who irritate you a little and a bit more, and see where and with who you would be able to do that exercise more easily. When you start tasting success over there, it will give you confidence because you are also learning as the day go by. And what have I done? To ensure higher synergy, I launched this entire 9 episode series because what I know, I am willing to share, and I am willing to talk, and I am willing to have a dialogue. And in my previous episode, when I was closing, I said one thing: no matter what happens, never stop the communication. Yes, silence is a way of communication. However, in that case, you're working in your circle of concern, because you are leaving the ability to understand your silence on the other person. So let's work in a circle of influence, which is communicating by stating what we feel. Yes, there would be possibilities of miscommunication, but then communication itself can solve that. So communicate, communicate, communicate some more. And that is my mantra. And that is what I'm doing over here also, creating dialogue and conversation. This is the key reason I started this series. So enjoy the synergy, work at it, build more better vibrations for yourself. Have a nice rest of the day, and I will see you again next Sunday with the last habit, which is habit number 7, which is sharpen the saw. What does that habit talk about? We will get to know in the next episode on next Sunday, which is 13th December at 3:30 p.m. See you then. Bye bye.